Welcome to this special cup of coffee with yours truly, Adrian Hanna Dragon, independent artist, independent activist, independent athlete, triple A plus other dimensions, geopolitical analyst and theorist. It is 12:55 here p.m. in EST in Montreal, Hawk Island, North America. On the eighth day of my new and last 40-day journey beginning, day eight today. Grateful, thankful that my rent's paid. Grateful, thankful that my electricity bill is paid, and grateful, thankful that I have food and coffee. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, truckers, butchers. Imagine, let's do a little meditation for all the farmers throughout the collective North American civilization, aka the North American civilizational complex, of which yours truly from Quebec, La Belle Province, Montreal, aka Hawk Island, Canada, is and has been born twice in past lives in the United States of America, calling for North Americans to unite, support the implementation of my Trinity theories known as CIT, DRT, and DFT via the fourth dimension LOVE. Trinity theories to be implemented via love. And love is also action, not just blah blah blah. As I do it carpe diem every day, surviving, having survived COVID. This is maybe video one of my introduction to ongoing lectures, which I begin today, let's say, for my surviving COVID, as it's been 3 years roundabout, more or less a day or few a week since I've had COVID for the first time. I had it 3 times and I am triple vaccinated. Triple vaccinated, open for business, and of course, for a greater good, while admitting that I'm not totally without selfless or floating on clouds, even though I am a universal spiritual teaching student who utters the word God is Godess. I can be non sectarian, non dogmatic, in all ways, shapes, or form for the greater good, and it is with solutions that we got to focus on. And one of my solutions for myself personally in these past years has been embarking on a fitness journey of which I've lost more than 77 pounds, created my own workout training program, made and designed, of course, paradoxically, in a parallel providential way to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, of which some say World War III has begun, but nonetheless, when I created this scenario, we didn't have the situations we have today geopolitically, but of course, I had concluded based on my analysis that we were headed towards that trend, and that trend was an international conflagration. So, made, created, and designed back in October 2019, what is known officially as the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragon Army Workout, which is an efficient, effective, and simple workout training program exercise which requires no equipment. It is easy, simple, effective, and efficient. It increases general overall fitness. My workout, of course, is meant to go hand in hand as it was when I created it, and of course, I created back in October 2019 as yours truly as being an independent fitness captain and an athlete, independent athlete, who is at the moment financially struggling, although auctioning this red hoodie and black socks and other items. 93% of all items which own via PayPal North America shipping only at the moment. So if you want to support in that way, you can see hundreds of my workout videos and either myself or my one and only for the moment official volunteer representative Red CLIL work, as I am looking for supporters, allies, armies, and allies. Pledge your allegiance. Legions kisses God. So first and foremost, I'm founding, laying the foundations of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom with 718 trillions of kisses. Kisses got a plenty. Credited by the goddess, forgotten. And if I do want to build a temple, I want to build a temple for the forgotten goddess. It's just gonna be the title, Forgotten Goddess Temple. And that's it, that's all. Instruct the priestesses on daily rites and blessings for the farmers, truckers, butchers, nurses, doctors, and all things we have of civilization while working to have a concordium between civilization and nature. And that is part of my dream, which manifests as the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, which are one empire under the sun and the stars on earth for the greater good, while my allies and armies pledge your allegiance. Legion, I want to bless you with healing, joy, regeneration, prosperity, and wealth, as I will it for myself as well. As said that I died during COVID. In many ways, I did die, and There's nothing personally that I want to go back to. I was a bit disappointed that major changes were not made in terms of some of my solutions, implementation of my Trinity theories yet. But as I am today, 1 p.m., 1800 Dragon independent philosopher, poet, dancer, artist, universal spiritual teaching student, and activist, and calling for the implementation of my Trinity theories as I do want to move forward and don't want to go back to nothing pre-COVID. Personally, I was hoping that major multi-billionaires, and CEOs are gonna address socio-economic issues on a grand scale, mass scale, and I do believe that the creation of the public-private partnership, because fundamentally the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is a public-private partnership, and my will to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions via the implementation of my Trinity theories, the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the North American Dragon Army for Defense, Security and Service, to be strictly understood to be coast to coast North American, like with NORAD partnership, and to be strictly a defensive security and service force. Services, as I've lectured in the past days, months, and years, doing COVID services with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love, all services to be able to be offered by the Dragon Army and the volunteers thereof and the alliances thereof made, and of course to be strictly for defense, security, and service, an emergency response for the North American collective civilization, for the collective North American civilization, aka the North American civilizational complex, and to allies, of course, outside the sphere of the collective North American civilization's realm. When I'm a North American, Canadian was an American born twice in past lives, and not perfect, far from it, got some issues, got some vices, and being androgynous, pansexual, that's just one part of myself, my sexuality or whatever it is, but it's out in the open. If I can bring pleasure in any way, shape, or form with consent and hygiene to any of my willingly allies and armies, pledge your legions, you best sure bet that I will. Just ask policy, allies and armies, AA's gotta just ask how much your service, your servant, in any way, shape, capacity, or form. XYZ, because they ain't got nothing on Rainbow Dragon. They ain't got nothing on Rainbow Dragon. They ain't got nothing on Rainbow Dragon. Yeah, I have cuck fantasies. Yeah, I got cuck fantasies. Yeah, I got cuck fantasies. Keep on rocking in the free world. Freedom. Freedom is it's a double-edged sword. It's very, still offends. We get offended. I get offended. I'm a pro-labor, universal, revolutionary centrist. Right, I've been depressed, suicidal, down and out, on the bottom, one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries. Read tens of thousands of books, read and written tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, poetry, art, of which I have been in the past days, in the past weeks, in the past months, shared in the public, will continue to share in the public sphere, and of course, I do firmly believe in the implementation of my theories with all the imperfections and the flaws of characters and the lusts, and which I admit openly without reservation, shame. It can be very professional, very intellectual, complex dimensions, analyzing interactions between humanity, psychology, and technology, and everything that we have of civilization and nature, and meditate and say that civilization still has its discontents. And I have presented, of course, my philosophy, my thesis called the privilege of civilization. And civilization still has its discontents, and we have privileges of civilization, which I began at the first week of January with presenting my thesis to the world as the people's doctor, Dr. Dragon, encouraging all to work out, train, exercising. Working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice, as I believe it is for many, have been, and will continue to call for the mass financing of people across the North American civilizational complex to work out, to train, and to exercise, as working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice, as I believe it can be for many. That's why I joined the Dragon Army, public-private partnership to encourage citizens to work out, to train, and to exercise. As working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and shall continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. Matter of fact, yesterday, Tuesday, I went on a special march dedicated to the lovers on the St. Valentine special Dragon Rainbow Dragon March on Monday as well. So more than 3 hours each time. I think both were about together like 7 hours, more than 7 hours a bit. 7 hours 18 minutes. I think total. One was 3 hours 44 minutes, and the other was 3 hours and 20 something minutes. So I think 7 hours and 18 minutes of marching in steel toe boots. Put in my new CV that I've marched the steel toe boots more than the generals of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member nations combined during COVID. Blah 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 blah. Philosophy, theory is important, but brains and muscles, some action, some doing is required. Action has been required in my own healing, my own transformation, and action will be required. Meditating now, being grateful and thankful to the food that I have, bread and sandwiches and coffee, and my rent being paid. It's February 15, mid February already. Rent's being paid. Rent is paid for the month of February. Electricity bill is also paid. Yeah, I got some debt, $10,000. I'm financially struggling, but open for business, looking for commissioning by selling this red hoodie, which I wore to work out, march in it. Probably worth 1 million. Gonna bless it to you to do 1 million steps in it, 1 million push-ups in it, 1 million squats in it, 1 million hawk in it. Anyone who buys, who offers, make a deal. Blah 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 blah. So action is required. The maintenance and the building of civilization will require action. Whether to work out, train, exercise, right? As it is, has been, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice, and I encourage all, and have been in the past weeks, months, and years calling, and will continue to call for mass financing via public-private partnership to my dream, the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. I'm calling my astrological brother Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, even as a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist. I can work on many things, non-sectarian, non-dogmatic, for the greater good, and I do firmly believe in the public-private partnership creation of the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, to be for service and security and strictly defense of the collective North American civilization. She would NORAD, strictly defensive, security and service. To offer services with consent and hygiene, such as help with cooking, help with carrying groceries, help with cleaning, help with the children, doing some sports, doing some physical activity, push-ups, running, jogging with the children, or some football or whatever it is, or reading to the young children, or doing XYZ, all activities as we already do with all institutions and organizations, public and private partnership. That is my dream, part of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. I firmly believe in this 21st century, the implementation of my trinity of theories, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the DRT, democratic fusion theory, and the death refusion theory, the DFT, democratic fusion theory, and the DRT, the death refusion theory. What's needed at this point in time where we are now as a civilization, at least for the North American civilizational complex, because I am a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, although as in many past lives, many incarnations, I'm an independent philosopher, financially struggling, but got trillions of kisses by which I lay the foundations of the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. And of course, got some brain and some muscle. I write some rock and roll, write some rap, underground rap as a hobby. I start rapping for the farmers, truckers, butchers, nurses, firefighters, public security workers, all involved in the production and the distribution of food, because everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, I turn on the radio, I keep on waiting, keep on hoping that there's gonna be some gratitude, some thankfulness. Thank you, farmers. If I have a radio on television or somewhere, it wouldn't be a day when I wouldn't not thank and be gratitude. Bless the farmers, those cooks, farmers, cooks, butchers, bakers, cleaning workers, firefighters, public security workers, those taking the garbage every week. Thank you, city workers who picked up the garbage this week, who picked up the recycling also, who are gonna pick up the compost three times. City sanitation workers come to pick up the compost, the garbage, and the recycling. So thrice, 3 times a week, right? We got those services. It requires brains and muscle still. We move towards automation and technology, and it has created much disturbances in our societies, and especially with COVID. And of course, that's why the Dragon Army will be 21st century citizen integrated security and service, both tango, dual dance, to offer services in complementary, covenant, cooperative way with the North American International Integrated or the International Integrated Dance League, aka the Dancing Goddess Army. Fundamentally, I'm the greatest dancer to be for purpose, some pleasure, to organize mass dancing events, and to organize an environmental education and action, to be for environmental education and action, for environmental education and action. Because we gotta know. So we gotta did some education about 2 3 weeks ago. When I got some new information and where can I deposit the batteries, right? Because they don't go in the recycling. The batteries they go don't. It's better not to put them in the garbage. Different plastics, razor blades, shaves, or shampoo, bottle leftover, whatever it is, chemicals, paint and such. Paint. For example, a big one, right? Or that has chemicals that are not good for the environment. There's proper way to dispose of it, right? All these requires constant education and action, right? And myself, in a parallel life, I'm a super scientists design satellite supercomputers, microchips, ICBM rockets. In this life, well, I'm a philosopher, poet, artist who's not perfect, far from it. Tiny feet, tiny hands, little androgynous, scar-cleared dick, and got a big mouth. Got some brain and some muscle, but at some things I admit I am mediocre. At some things I admit I am average. At some things I admit I am so-so. I've struggled, I've suffered, I've been depressed and suicidal. Been rock and bottom now. Paradoxically, during COVID, I don't remember much about youth, adolescence, early childhood, and the such. I know I have graduated high school, got a high school diploma, got this and that, got different whatever I have from and the tens of thousands of pages of philosophy theory as what I am as a philosopher, a geopolitical analyst and theorist, an independent fitness captain and thinker, and can do some push-ups. So as we move towards a post-COVID world, sometimes it's better to admit certain things, admit this and that, because the sword of freedom, we rally seven holy, sacred, divine letters, FREEDOM. But freedom is, I got it tattooed on my hand here, say freedom. Yeah, freedom. But I admit, by my solo, my tiny hands, sword of freedom is too heavy to live by my solo. Because it requires understanding of our natures, our different natures, how we relate to nature and civilization, to culture, with language, with lusts, right? Somebody might say, "Well, you, dragon, rainbow dragon." Yeah, I'm rainbow, you. I'm a man and I'm a woman. I'm androgynous. I'm both. I consider myself to be both androgynous. You have this fantasies, this lust. Well, it can be admitted or not admitted. It can be hidden, right? And this freedom is also new, right? It's not it's defining it, ensuring it, securing freedom. Ensuring freedom is the Dragon Army's mission, part of it. And the only one and first operation of the public-private partnership Dragon Army is to ensure freedom, secure freedom. But we have to have certain elements secured as well, like food, housing, and transport. Food, housing, and transport, at least food to a certain extent, to a certain level of the public-private partnership, food, housing, and transport. And since October 2019, paradoxically, when I've created my own workout training program to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, and when I've created it, have designed it, and made it to go hand in hand with such an event as being a geopolitical analyst and theorist on a geopolitical, as an independent geopolitical analysis. Back in October 2019, I had concluded that we humanity are on a path towards another international conflagration, and so created, made, and produced and designed a workout training program system to go hand in hand with such an event. International conflagration, a World War III, in other words. And 3 years later, my surviving of COVID. I had COVID right about this time 3 years ago. I was very sickle and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. I thought I was gonna die. In many ways, I did die during COVID being reborn. Adrian Hanna Dragon, founder, kisses the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which is my dream for the greater good and for the rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation of the collective North American civilization and the uniting of North Americans for the greater good, but for the defense and the security of the collective North American civilization, the North American civilizational complex, which is my theory, of course, which I've lectured in the past and will continue to lecture in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. So, calling on all willingly loving to support the implementation of my Trinity of theories, the public-private partnership online, on the streets, posters, message boards, anywhere, allies and armies, bless you, pledge your allegiance, legions with healing, health, kisses, rejuvenation, joy, 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 laughter, wisdom, and understanding and knowledge. As joy, pleasure for me is seeing also my allies and armies, pledge your allegiance, legions, have joy and pleasure, and with consent, hug like you never hugged before is the main message. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers. Let's do a meditation for the truckers. Meditating for the truckers now. Transport, warehouse workers, dock workers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending some big love, big offerings. You might say, no, I don't want nothing to do with the offers of kisses, but sing me some rock and roll, dragon. Let's go for the truckers, for the buzzing on the middle of the highways. On the highway, where the truckers, they be going every day. Thank you, truckers, for the food. Thank you, farmers, like we should. Thank you, farmers, for the food. Thank you, truckers, like we should. And the cooks, and the nurses, and the doctors, and the butchers and the bakers, like we should, putting up some rock and roll for the workers. Here we go. For the truckers and the butchers and the bakers and the cooks, for those looking down, for those from the east and west, from the north, from the south, from that Montreal, that hockey town. We say go Habs go, but we eat that food from Chicago, and we eat that from the California dreams. And we nurture all the hairs from the oranges that peel from the Florida all the way to Alberta. And we cross the North America and we speak a little bit of French. Comment ça va, pour l'amour, ça fait comme ça. On chante au Québec, la belle province. We speak a little bit of that French when we go up in Quebec. And we from the North America, we from the North America. So go Sonora go, soda go Sonora go, with some sodas, with some claps, for the truckers and the butchers, and the farmers and the farmers. Give some kisses and some hugging, not just blah blah blah, we dumbing. That's some bureaucratic, know it, that's the new. For the truckers and the butchers and the bakers, love you. For the nurses and the firefighters, the public and the security workers, yep. Give them for the railways, railways on the choo-choo train, railway on the choo-choo train. For the railway workers, for the city sanitation, for the sanitation and dockers on the docking up. In the warehouses workers, with those pallets on the workers, with the dockers in the boxes, putting up and shipping up. In the truckers loading and unloading, loading or unloading, with the steel toe boots construction, with the steel toe boots construction. They the workers build some buildings and some skyscrapers. Yeah, some art, rock and roll. For the farmers, butchers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, cooks, Global Dragon Union style. So as I'm gonna do a meditation followed by a meditation on all the truckers that are going now by the thousands, transporting food, goods, groceries, right? Meditating in parallel, calling on Wall Street. Please, Wall Street, buy, sell, trade stocks, markets, puts, futures, options. A monkey business. It's all paper, they ain't got nothing. It's all paper, they ain't got nothing. It's all paper, they ain't got nothing. Please, if you do make a million buying, selling truck stocks, please give 10%. 10% of a million equates to 100,000. 100,000 is can divide it by 4, make it 25,000 for food security, 25,000 for LGBTQ youth services, 25,000 for women's sports leagues, and 25,000 for environmental causes. So please, 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 Wall Street, if you do make a million buying, selling stocks, future puts, options today, 1:21 p.m. in the EST. You still got 3 hours and something until 4:30 when the bell rings to stop the trading, buying, selling, trading stocks. Please, Wall Street, if you do make somebody trading, buying stocks, whether from Black Rock, Mr. Fink, Larry Fink, Mr. Fink, or somewhere else, making a million on buying future options, put stocks, please give 10%. 10% of a million is 100,000 divided by 4, give it 25,000 for women's sports leagues, 25,000 for food security first, because everybody got to eat, even Wall Street. Food security, environmental issues, women's sports leagues, and LGBTQ youth services. Please call it a heart from a dragon, give some charity. And calling for on all multi-billionaires, my brothers in the patriarchal sports leagues. I'm gonna say patriarchal. I love hockey, love gridiron, North American football, love basketball. Although dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is a sport. Support the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army. Owners and players of the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please, please, please call it a heart. Support the building of the Forgotten Goddess Temple or the complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army for North American Security, Service, and Defense, strictly defensive purposes, and strictly defensive security and service, and to encourage citizens to work out, train, exercise, because it can be therapy and medicine. It has been, is, and will be for me. Working out, training, and exercising, that is my medicine and therapy of choice, as I believe it is for many. And of course, in the complementary covenant cooperative way with the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, or the International Integrated Dance League, or the North American Integrated Dance League. Integrated, that will be an all gender, all ages, all sexual orientations inclusive, for pleasure and purpose. Pleasurable to dance, to organize pleasurable activities, and to organize activities for pleasure and activities for purpose, the environment purpose, to attain harmony between civilization and nature by mass education and action, collaboration with our organizations, institutions, university across the collective North American civilization. Yours truly, Adrian Hanna Dragon. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, cooks again. I'm now gonna go check my emails, and I'm gonna put some education. So I'm just gonna say a little bit more. Then we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna put my phone to record some information connected with my parallel self, where a parallel self is a scientist. So I'm gonna listen to videos on scientific videos, and of course I am a philosopher, an independent artist, an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, a dancer, activist. And before that, I wanna go back a little bit, go back in time and discuss surviving COVID. I remember that I was really, really sick 3 years ago. I had it 3 times. Yeah, 2020, 2021, the variant, and 2022 last year I had the other variant. I had all of, not all of them variants, but I had three different diets. Getting the origin, the midpoint, and the last point. Three times. I was covered all the, I'm triple vaccinated now, and encourage all to increase, please, in hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap, hand sanitizer, disinfectant. I do also recommend the disinfection of products that you bring home from buying with a little bit of soap and water. Just rub it a little bit. I'll leave it for 5 minutes for the soap and water to disinfect the bacteria because it's efficient, effective soap and water. I encourage also. I continue doing that even though with COVID a little bit. So just in case we can have nuclear winter, nuclear war. We're back to Cold War mode, right? We're back to cold. I'm a millennial, so I don't really live the Cold War, but other generations born in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and even 70s, they lived through that. Where I just saw a documentary from 1980, I believe it was about a potential nuclear strike on the prairies in Canada. It was Canadian made, and it was during the Cold War, right? So we have ICBMs between 1947 and 1989. For 89 minus 47, that's 42. So for more than 42 years, the USSR, Union of Socialist Soviet Republics, aka the Soviet Empire, and the USA embodied the East and West, West versus East, East versus West, embodied by the West, the United States of America, by the leading the West, and the USSR, Soviet Union, leading the East. Sort of course, embodied the East West, West East type of conflict, Cold War, right? Proxy wars, and of course the present situation which we have now. So back in October 2019, just before I had COVID, before COVID was in the news and before there were talks of COVID, of course, October 2019, yours truly, independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, independent fitness captain, independent philosopher, created, made, and designed. And first, I analyzed the geopolitical situation globally, and due to several factors of which I had taken into consideration as the major geopolitical events, such as the US China trade war began by the Trump administration with the imposition of tariffs on, I believe, in three parts on more than 665 total billion or so. Got a fuck your number in the hundreds of billions. A billion is 1,000 million, right? So massive tariffs on a big portion, huge portion of goods imported from China, the People's Republic of China, into the USA. Trump, the U.S. China trade war, which is ongoing, but which began in March 2018. So that was a major factor, geopolitical factor, which began the deterioration of Sino-American relations. Sino, I'm referring to China as a civilization. Furthermore, the arrest of Meng Wanzhou, the chief financial officer of Huawei, who had become one of the top providers of internet infrastructure and big player in the 5G networks and the smartphones and the telecommunications industry globally. I think it had become number one. For a while, it was number one in internet network building and infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure. Huawei and the RCMP arrested Meng Wanzhou, aka Kathy Meng, who was the daughter of the founder of Huawei, who founded in 1989, and the chief financial officer thereof. And she was arrested by the RCMP in order to honor an extradition treaty with the United States based on several infractions of which, and consequently two Canadian nationals, Michael Spavor, Michael Kovrig, were detained and arrested in China. A few months ago, there was an unadmitted quid pro quo exchange, unadmitted quid pro quo exchange. But nonetheless, those events can, and in parallel also with the continuing Islamic State terrorism, the Middle East and beyond, and other historical events such as Pearl Harbor back in 2019 in October, I had concluded and I had come to the conclusion as an independent geopolitical analyst and theorist that humanity, I'm referring we humanities, I believe in one human race, and that we can move forward to channel our aggression But I had concluded back in October 2019 that we humanity are again on a path towards an international conflagration, aka in World War III. And so I created, made, and designed the workout training program system, which has the official long 7 words titled General War Integrated Total Body Training System. 7 words, aka the Dragon Army workout, which I made it to go hand in hand with such a scenario, and which is simple, effective, and efficient. Requires no equipment. It's very the way it's been made. It's simple with simple rules, right? You got 93 minutes to do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hawks. Holy Sacred Divine Trinity push-ups, hawks, squats, 93 minutes, 13 repetitions maximum per set, 3 minimum. Once you start the countdown, there's no pause, no stop. You got to keep it in motion by marching steps or jogging or running or walking fast pace. A maximum of 13 repetitions per set is allowed, a minimum of 3 anywhere in between 7, 6, 9, 10 until you get to 100. 31 seconds minimum of marching or jogging or running or walking fast pace is required in between. You can average to do it within an hour, sometimes less, 44 minutes, sometimes 70 minutes, sometimes 80 minutes, but within 93 minutes. That's the total allocated time for one to complete it. If one successfully completes it, one is a potential dragon. That is the standard examination in the Dragon Army. So once you complete it, you're a potential. It's the minimum test, if you will, the standard test. Standard test. An examination thereof. So 93 minutes to do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hawks, 100 for each. 13 repetitions maximum per set, 3 minimum, anywhere in between 7, 6, 5, whatever the number is. 31 seconds minimum of marching or jogging or running or walking fast pacing required in between. You can do it within the rules. You're eligible to become the next dragon, and you are a potential until you do 300 sessions. So 300 sessions is I completed 300 29th of September 2023. So about a couple months ago, I celebrated when I've officially turned the A of my surname. So Dragan became Dragon. So Dragon became Dragon September 29th, 2022. Dragon became Dragon September officially. Dragon became Dragon September 29th, 2023. 2022 last year. So September, October, November, December, February, January, February, October, November, December, January 1st, so about 4 months ago, right? September 29th, 2022. I've completed my 300 session, 300. I've done more than 315 hours special grid around workout training pro. So nonetheless, I've created it to go hand in hand with such a scenario. And my workout, I'm proud of having created it. And it increases general overall fitness, and it's meant to increase general overall fitness. So I'm assuming that you can do hundreds of them and still it increases general overall fitness until at one point you will reach a plateau maximum development. But I'm still developing with this workout. I'm still increasing general overall fitness and natural lean muscles, right? Because push-ups, squats, hawks. So and the hawks and the to that trinity of push-ups, hawks, squats, you integrate the endurance is integrated because the rules are made to increase general overall fitness and also to be able to be made for the cardio and endurance to be increased. And it has specifics to be made for operational, defensive, and security, special for defense of the 3 major areas of civilization being food, housing, and transport, being food, housing, and transport, being food, housing, and transport, which I will not share more in public. I will discuss it more with chiefs, NORAD chiefs, and other of North American NATO, NORAD, NATO members of security and the implementation of the public-private partnership and the Dragon Army there for defense and security, for security and defense. But it has a multiple dimensions to it, the workout, and I was congruent to go with such a scenario, a World War III scenario, in other words, and I've created it back in 2019. In October 2019, I've created it to go hand in hand with such a scenario. Paradoxically, the paradox that, of course, I am also a world peace advocate and have been a world peace advocate, but I also admit and recognize within my own self the aggression that I admit I have aggression, but 2 keywords of my philosophy, whether psychological, sexual, or spiritual, even psychosexual, is to channel and sublimate. Sublimate and channel. Two key words of my philosophy. Channel and sublimate. Because repressing it can make us sick, ill, and disease, right? Even aggression. Channel. Do push-ups. That's why to the Dragon Army to, say somebody XYZ, say, my brothers and sisters, the Dragon Army, how do we channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs? Dragon Army, we channel the aggression, sublimate the aggression into push-ups and hugs. The Dragon Army, we channel the aggression into push-ups with push-ups and hugs. With consent, of course. Don't start hugging people in the streets without consent, though. Don't start hugging people in the streets without consent, though. Dragon Army wear red, sometimes green, green for the Dancing Goddess Army, red for the dragon, and rainbow for the Phoenix People's Party. Rainbow for the Phoenix People's Party, green for the Dancing Goddess Army, DGA Dancing Goddess Army, and red for the Dragon Army. Red for the Dragon Army, green for the Dancing Goddess Army, rainbow for the Phoenix People's Party. Pro-love, pro-labor, North American People's Party. Universal revolutionary centrist, believing in private-public partnerships, and to admit, like we admit, and to be for service and security, right? For the 21st century, I firmly believe in the implementation of my trinity of theories. My brothers and sisters out there, we channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs. My allies and armies, kisses got kisses, tickles, hugs, some love and some brain and some muscle. That's a little bit of rock and roll. All the things we have as civilization, and calling for the DRT, the debt refusion theory has to come first, of taking all private and public debt, refusing it, create what I call the UE, Universal Exchange Unit, preferably by biometrics. The hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers. That's why I'm calling my astrological brother Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all governments, institutions, and organizations all involved in the POS, the point of sale, POS, point of sale with smartphones, and all corporations and organizations and governments, first and foremost across the collective North American civilization across North America. Take all private and public debt, Canadians, public debt, all debt of Canada, municipal, federal, provincial, of citizens, United States, Mexico. Create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. Peg to the United States dollar, because the United States dollar is still today, although there has been challenges since 2007. The United States is still the international finance currency of choice, the global trade currency of choice, and the worldwide business currency of choice still is the United States dollar, right? So create the U in accordance to what the United States dollar is. Let's say today, now 15th of February, or the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, when we implement the theory, and it could be implemented ASAP. Could be starting implemented today, starting implemented tomorrow, and we could do it in a public-private partnership, and with my philosophies and theories implemented. And I'm not perfect, far from it. I still might go once in a while to a strip club, very rarely. But please, strippers, give a discount to the farmers, because I like dancing. I could strip myself for my allies and armies. Not to dance for the NATO troops, no right troops, Dragon Army, conjoined Dancing Goddess Army. Entertainment is part of life. Physical pleasure, lust, sexuality, we need to channel. I haven't gone to strip clubs. It's more than 3 years since I've been on a strict budget, financially struggling, only essentials, open for business. I'm gonna send some emails, continue to send emails. I'm gonna check my email, see if I got a response. PayPal. I've sent emails to offer my services, offer my services, offer my services, blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah. And I'm grateful for today, grateful that I got food, and I'm gonna put some. I'm gonna start listening to some videos now on science. So I'm gonna record it on my phone so that when I go on the marches, I'm gonna listen and meditate, meditate in conjunction with everything that I do as a philosopher, the implementation of my trinity of theories. So I'm going to try to connect with my parallel self while listening to these videos and recording it on my smartphone. So when I go on the marches, I can listen to it and meditate and connect with my parallel self, who sent me tens of thousands of pages on science, satellites, microchips, internet, and telecommunications and smartphones. All right, we have a playlist. And we're going to start with my astrological brother, Bill Gates. Just going to put it to record it so I can listen to it on my marches. I'm gonna record to see how much memory I have. Yeah, I can record a few hours, so I'm just gonna record for about an hour and a half. So connecting with my parallel self. Let's go, rock and roll. 3, 2, 1. Parallel self, coming to my brain thought, coming to my brain parallel self thought, coming to my brain parallel self thought. Down. Recording.
Or just about. In this series, you're going to learn how computers really work, starting with tiny like two circuits to do an entire. Next, we'll zoom the innovations of the future. Earth station. What's the secret? Station on the ground. Polar orbit. La livraison est maintenant. Electromagnetic waves need to be separated from the source and the chip product. Placed a distance apart. This arrangement is known as midpoint of their path, the velocity will be at the maximum, and at the ends of their paths, the velocity is accelerated and decelerated due to this velocity. Expand as shown. This is surprising. You might feel as shown. Station. The electric field stretch. This is because some adjust. We spend some time to understand this or generation of accelerating or we will discuss separately. The length of the antenna. Massive array Solution is to use what's called Hey there, welcome to life. Right now, and because without it I wouldn't exist, I wanted to talk to you. For all your domain and web hosting. Not yet. It's a common. nearby networks. Distinguish another network. Schedules and devices. To sleep mode and their antennas signal or frequency band. So the CPU, short for Central Processing Unit, is at the brain.
Pause for news. Pause for news. Pause for news.
Take our break for news. When we come back, if you missed it earlier this morning, the rules on how you get your kids into CJEP, into school, seem to be getting a little murkier. We're going to try to bring you some information when we hear what's involved as far as CJEPs are concerned, and then what you need to know if you want to get your kids into an EMSB school. That's next. Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall. Brought to you by Dormez-vous. Mix and Match is back. Buy any of their best-selling pillows and get the second free. Sleep well, stay well. Dormez-vous. A daughter who fights crime. A mother who writes crime. They're teaming up to solve cases.
We're arrested. You're coming back.
But how to work together might just be the biggest mystery of all. The Spencer Sisters. All new Friday at 9. Set your PVR. Only on CTV.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal. News, talk radio, CJAD 800, an iHeart radio station.
Good afternoon. It's 3:01. I'm Jason Mayoff with a CTV News update. Periods of rain today. It's 6 degrees downtown. Weather details in minutes. Here's what's making news right now. Two Liberal MPs say they might vote against their government's official languages bill. Quebec limits the use of private healthcare agencies, and home sales plunge in Canada. With the latest from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Marty Lamar.
Westbound Albany out at First Avenue. Eastbound is moving well. The inbound TCAN, a bit of volume to lead to Kerry Circle. Outbound, no major problems. The Kerry northbound to busy go from Goodsay-Brook all the way up. Southbound to Losing Town down to about the Chantalon area. Heading into Laval. The 15 is a nice drive. Busy after the 440. 13 northbound below the 40 up to Henry Bourassa. Shop Marshall Donis and try something new thanks to their fresh and delicious meat until February 15th. Beef tenderloins only $11.77 a pound. Traffic and transit every 15 minutes on CJAD 800. Your next report's coming up at 3:15.
Two Liberal MPs say the opposition has changed the Liberal government's official languages bill so much in committee they may not be able to vote for it. Bill C-13 is meant to protect French by recognizing its status as a minority language in Canada. But Senora MP Emanuela Landropoulos told CJAD 800's Elias Makos today that as it stands, she won't vote for it.
It's an important enough issue for me and for some of my colleagues to say, hey, we can't vote for it as it stands because it includes a reference to the Charter of the French language, which now includes Bill 96. And that's the main, I think, point that we are not okay with.
Well, Royal MP Anthony Housefather says he hopes he can still vote for it, but may not because the changes would reduce English services in Quebec. Health Minister Christian Dubé wants to cut ties with health placement agencies within 3 years.
He's tabled Bill 10, a plan to curb the use of agencies employing private healthcare workers who get brought into the public sector at higher rates. The use of these agencies cost taxpayers $3 billion from 2016 to 2022, which Dubé says isn't feasible.
That doesn't make sense that they pay a nurse at a certain price and sometimes they double or they triple the price they're charging to the system. So that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. We should be paying that nurse ourselves.
Urban sectors would need to cut ties by 2024 with the companies to smaller areas the year after, and the final end to deals with agencies would come in 2026. The government would also get more power to impose penalties for going against this bill if it passes. I'm Don Kagan-Fleming.
Home sales plunged nearly 40% in Canada in January.
The Canadian Real Estate Association says last month's sales were the lowest for the month since 2009. Home sales tumbled last year as rising mortgage rates increased the cost of borrowing and slowed the housing market. CREA says the actual national average home price was $612,204 last month. That's down 18.3% from January 2022. Don Kelly, the Canadian Press.
An international rescue crews are racing to find survivors under the rubble in Turkish and Syrian provinces hit hardest by last week's earthquakes.
In footage from Turkish outlet IHA, the search and rescue team in the southeast carries a 42-year-old woman out of the rubble on a stretcher, saving her 222 hours after the first earthquake struck. Portuguese crews are continuing their work in Antakya, along with Spanish teams, aided by a K9 unit. Julian Hidalgo, the coordinator of Sevilla Fire Department K9 unit, says that people who have been rescued arrive every day. We think there's still a chance that people below the rubble, and we should keep looking. Tens of thousands of buildings in both Turkey and Syria are destroyed or severely damaged, leaving millions homeless. I'm Charles Philadelphia.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CJAD800. Mayhew Weather Center forecast periods of rain today, the high 6 degrees. Rain ending this evening and then partly cloudy and windy, the low +2. And a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, windy in the morning, the high +4. It's 6 degrees downtown. For all the news during the day, stream us on your smart speaker. Just say play CJAD 800. Your next CTV News update is at 3:30.
This newscast brought to you by Electroaid, heating and air conditioning specialists for over 70 years. They service all brands, no matter who put them in. 514-333-7460. Electroaid.ca. All the latest news and the people making it. Montreal Now with Aaron and Natasha. CJAD 800.
All right, just before we get into this, so I want to explain. We did this story when it first broke, going back now a few months. We actually had John McMahon, he's Director General of Vanier College, on at the time to explain what we thought was good news, remember?
Yeah, it seemed like it was going to be a lot easier than we thought.
Government says we're going to let CJEPs access our database. It's going to make it easier to find those eligibility certificates. Well, guess what? They said one thing, but they have yet to follow through. I don't say they did another. They have not had this opportunity to get to those databases yet, and it's getting close to enrollment deadline.
The deadline is March 1st.
So, John McMahon was on with Andrew Carter this morning and began by asking him what the current situation actually is. Here you go.
There's a major distinction of students beginning in fall 2023. On the one hand, there are what we call certificate holders. And those students are those eligible for English instruction, typically those who are currently in English school boards. And then there are non-certificate holders, those typically Francophone, Allophone students in Francophone school boards. Not always the case because there are a significant number of eligible students, certificate holders, who are actually studying in Francophone school boards. So it's a little complicated, but basically speaking, that's the distinction. Now, the law, Bill 96, requires each of those students to do different things to receive their college diploma. And in fall 2023, non-eligible students, so non-certificate holders, will be required to write a French exit exam. And so their program is going to be different. They're going to have to start taking French literature courses to start preparing for those to write that exit exam. So when we admit students on March 1st, we need to know who is a certificate holder and who is a non-certificate holder. Initially, the plan was that those who were certificate holders should upload their certificate. This was back prior to the holidays. And so many parents were scrambling to get those certificates. Then the Minister of Higher Education, Pascal Dady, confirmed no, the ministry was going to put into place a website that would automate the process. In other words, parents would not have to scramble to get their certificates. The ministry already has that information, and they would provide access to the CJEPs by the March 1st deadline so that we could make admissions decisions. We were supposed to get access to that website prior to now. We still do not have access to that website, and we're very concerned that that website will not be fully functioning by the time we have to make decisions, or there will be glitches in it, which will cause confusion in our admissions process. And that's only one aspect of the problem with putting implementation dates into place that are completely unrealistic. We have said all along that we were never opposed to the idea of preserving, promoting French, but to implement the aspects of this law, it needed to be done in a timely fashion, in a more realistic timely fashion, and that has not been the case, and it's causing problems to this day.
Okay, will this affect students who are eligible and their ability to get into CEGEP?
No, it won't, because in fall 2023, the priority clause, if you recall, one of the aspects of the bill was to give priority to certificate holders. That priority clause will actually not be officially effective until winter 2024, January 2024. Although the English colleges, particularly those in Montreal, we've collaborated very closely together. We will be implementing somewhat of a priority beginning in round 2 of the application process to work through the system. Our commitment is that nobody, no certificate holder, so no English student will be left without a program. May not be program of choice, may not be college of choice, but we will ensure everyone has a program for this fall.
All right, now that's at the CJEP level. Okay, so that's John McMahon from Vanier explaining the situation as far as CJEPs are concerned when he was on with Andrew Carter this morning. And then there's the issue over the EMSB. What if your child is going to EMSB school? There's eligibility certificates involved there. Mike Cohn from the EMSB on the line with us as well. Michael, thank you for taking a couple of minutes here this afternoon. I heard you start to explain it this morning, but for parents who are wondering, so that's the situation in CJEPs. What's the situation in schools?
Well, traditionally, you apply for your certificate of eligibility as parent at least a year before your child goes into kindergarten. And it's not just for people who are applying for the public school system, but there's some that go into the private school system where they still need a certificate of eligibility. And there's those that, even though they've decided to send their children perhaps to a French school, I think right now we're seeing why you need to have that certificate well in advance. Who would have ever thought that you have to apply for one when your kid is a teenager going into CJEP? I don't think as I said earlier today with Andrew, I don't think in the days of the Parti Québécois we ever dreamed we'd be in a situation like this.
And therein lies the rub here, Michael. That's a good point. Who thought you would need this at some point? Well, forward to the future here, now you're going to need it, so parents might be scrambling who didn't think to do this years ago. What do they do?
Alright, we're back in business. Back in business. CPU.
Except as a design. Each letter is stored as a particular combination of ones and zeros according to these characters. as we saw side of the 6 two numbers together. Control instruction from RAM and then tells need to output an answer. You're working with an instruction that does produce an output. Where does that once we have control unit turns the enable one. register, it is automatically sent to RAM since the memory address register doesn't have an enable wire. The control unit then turns on the enable RAM wire, and RAM automatically sends back the data at that address, which in this case is an instruction. That instruction is then saved in the instruction register, and the control unit begins processing it. In this case, it's a jump if equal instruction. To be an address, and move it into the instruction address register. When the jump if equal instruction is over, the CPU then processes the instruction at that new address. At that new address may be some instructions that output the text "you guessed correctly" onto the screen, because now we know that the user guessed correctly. So we'll add the final 4 wires to our CPU, which are used to control the external devices like the monitor and the keyboard. We now have a nearly complete picture of what the Scott CPU looks like. Data moves around inside the CPU using the bus and is stored in each register. Inside the hard drive is a spinning disk covered in tiny magnets with a small metal arm floating above it. The arm moves around to the different parts of the disk where different data can be stored and retrieved. The disk and the arm generally move very, very quickly, but nowhere near as fast as the CPU can process data. For this reason, all the data from the hard drive must first be moved to RAM before it can be processed. So we'll put the hard drive back inside the computer and zoom out. Here we can see the program we just ran and the message telling the user that he guessed correctly. So now you've seen the very basics of how a computer processes information. You'll find much more about the Scott CPU in the book at the website buthowdoitknow.com. Also,
Steve, what are you looking at today?
I like the type of fish, right? You can't determine what it is because it's not mixed in with the noise. We do the same
How it's made. These materials